What happens when a billionaire sues one of the biggest bands on earth over a 4-second kiss cam? This isn't just a scandal, it's a chain reaction that pulled Chris Martin, Gwyneth Paltrow, and a billion-dollar startup into chaos. From luxury to humiliation in less than a week. And if you stay till the end, you'll see how this lawsuit accidentally triggered something no one, especially Andy Byron, saw coming. The billionaire who sued Coldplay, he had everything. A glass-walled mansion in Silicon Valley worth $30 million, filled with rare Basquiat and Warhol paintings that easily added another $50 million to his portfolio. A sleek $12 million Sunseeker super yacht docked quietly in the Hamptons. In his garage, a $3.5 million Pagani Huayra Roadster, parked next to a fully custom Tesla Roadster signed by Elon Musk himself. Andy Byron wasn't just another tech CEO. He was the golden boy of Silicon Valley, a visionary who turned Astronomer, a data ops startup once valued at $1.3 billion, into the next big name in AI. Venture capital firms like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia Capital were pouring millions into his empire. At 38, he was living the billionaire dream. Exclusive parties in Napa, VIP seats at the Grammys, and front row access to any event he wanted. But all it took was a single concert. One kiss cam moment, one crowd of 40,000 people, and suddenly the internet turned him into a meme. It happened at Coldplay's sold-out Massachusetts show. Cameras scanned the arena for fun-loving couples and stopped squarely on Andy Byron. Next to him sat Kristen Cabot, Astronomer's glamorous head of HR. The crowd went wild, cheering as the kiss cam zoomed in, and in a split second, Kristen leaned in. Their kiss wasn't a peck, it was a full, lingering moment that sent the audience screaming. What they didn't know was that Andy Byron was a married man. Within hours, the clip hit Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. By morning, it had 10 million views, turned into GIFs, memes, and think pieces. Billionaire CEO caught cheating at a Coldplay concert. And now, Andy Byron is suing Coldplay. He claims emotional distress and invasion of privacy, arguing that a harmless fan interaction destroyed his life, his career, his reputation, even his billion-dollar company. But here's the question no one can stop asking. How can one viral moment undo a life built on power, money, and precision? Because what comes next is even more shocking. You'll see how this lawsuit doesn't just drag in Chris Martin, but also his ex-wife Gwyneth Paltrow, in a twist that turned the scandal into something far bigger than anyone imagined. Comment, power isn't protection, if you believe even billionaires can't escape the internet's judgment. Why Andy Byron took Coldplay to court. Why would a billionaire drag one of the world's biggest bands into court? Andy Byron says it's simple. The viral kiss cam clip didn't just embarrass him, it detonated his entire life. Within 24 hours, the video had racked up 10 million views, splashed across TikTok, Instagram, and even late-night talk shows. Headlines didn't hold back. Billionaire CEO caught cheating at Coldplay concert. And it didn't stop there. Within 48 hours, Astronomer, the $1.3 billion data ops startup Byron built, was in chaos. Venture capital partners from Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia Capital demanded an emergency board meeting. Internal Slack channels leaked. Employees questioned his leadership. Kristen Cabot, the HR head caught kissing him, was suddenly trending on LinkedIn for all the wrong reasons. Byron's lawyers claim the concert organizers, and yes, Coldplay themselves, had a duty to protect VIP guests from unwanted attention. His legal filing describes emotional distress, reputational damage, and financial harm exceeding $100 million. But here's the catch. Legal analysts say his case is shaky at best. Kiss cam moments are considered public domain, especially at a concert with 40,000 fans, where cameras are part of the experience. You can't sue someone for catching what you chose to do in front of thousands of people. One attorney even laughed. It's like suing a mirror for showing your reflection. Still, Byron went ahead. Why? Not because he expects to win, but because he's desperate. When your billion-dollar empire is burning, you throw everything you can at the flames. And remember, this isn't just about a concert, it's about power. Byron believes money can rewrite the narrative, that with enough lawyers, PR firms, and spin, he can erase the meme and reclaim his image. But what he didn't expect was how Coldplay would respond. Chris Martin didn't release a statement. He didn't lawyer up. He didn't even apologize. Instead, he laughed. And that laugh went viral too. So what did Chris Martin actually say when he heard a billionaire was suing his band? And how did it trigger an even bigger scandal involving his own past? Chris Martin's surprising reaction. When news broke that Andy Byron was suing Coldplay over a kiss cam clip, most people expected a formal press release, maybe a carefully worded response. What no one expected was laughter. According to a source close to the band, Chris Martin didn't even blink when he heard about the lawsuit. He read the headline once, leaned back and chuckled. He's blaming us for his own kiss. There was no statement, no lawyer's rebuttal, no PR crisis team spinning the story. Chris Martin did what few celebrities in his position ever do. He shrugged. And somehow that silence echoed louder than any denial could have. But Coldplay's silence wasn't emptiness. It was calculated. Internally, the band found the entire lawsuit absurd. One crew member said it best, "This guy's having a meltdown, and we're just trying to play fix you for 40,000 people." Online fans did the rest. Within hours of the legal filing, Coldplay's global fanbase turned the entire situation into a social media spectacle. The hashtag #ByronKissCam exploded on Twitter and Reddit. One TikTok trend, mocking the Coldplay curse, hit over 20 million views, with users joking that every Coldplay concert comes with emotional consequences. What stung the most for Byron wasn't the lawsuit being mocked. It was how fast the internet picked sides. And he wasn't on the winning end. Memes portrayed him as a panicked CEO trying to sue his way out of personal shame. Edits of him over Coldplay music went viral, his photo dissolving slowly as The Scientist played in the background. But beneath the surface, there was something more personal brewing. What many didn't know at the time was that Coldplay's frontman had a past that made this case more than just business. A few years earlier, Andy Byron's startup Astronomer had tapped a certain A-lister to help promote their AI division, Gwyneth Paltrow. That name wasn't chosen at random. She's more than just a celebrity. She's Chris Martin's ex-wife. Some said it was coincidence. Others believed Byron intentionally involved her to elevate his brand. But regardless of intent, the optics now looked messy. The kiss cam that went global. It was supposed to be just another feel-good moment in a Coldplay concert. One of those harmless crowd shots designed to make the audience smile. But when the kiss cam zoomed in on Andy Byron, seated front row in the VIP section at the band's sold-out Massachusetts show, what happened next sent shockwaves across the world. Sitting beside him was Kristen Cabot, Astronomer's head of HR. Dressed in a sleek Saint Laurent blazer and visibly close to Byron, she didn't hesitate when their faces appeared on the Jumbotron. With 40,000 fans cheering them on, Kristen leaned in and kissed him. Not a shy peck, a long, confident, fully committed kiss. The crowd erupted, but so did the internet. Within minutes, concert-goers uploaded the clip to TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The moment gained over 10 million views within 24 hours, aided by hashtags like Coldplay KissCam and Byron Caught Live. News sites picked it up immediately, not because the moment was romantic, but because of what came after. Andy Byron, the billionaire CEO of a $1.3 billion data startup, wasn't kissing his wife. Suddenly, the public image of a composed, forward-thinking tech mogul was cracking. And journalists didn't hold back. Articles with headlines like "CEO gets caught on kiss cam," "Company in meltdown mode," and "From unicorn to unfaithful" began circulating. Financial blogs speculated whether the scene could cause instability in Astronomer's boardroom. The memification was instant. One viral edit showed Byron's shocked face superimposed over Coldplay's Clocks music video. Another mashed the clip with Taylor Swift's "Look What You Made Me Do." Byron had become a punchline, a symbol of how fast a billionaire's reputation could implode in public view. But what truly rattled Byron wasn't the internet jokes, it was the timing. Astronomer had just closed a $93 million funding round, and the company was preparing for a confidential acquisition discussion with a Fortune 100 buyer. Now, instead of due diligence calls, he was dealing with paparazzi and PR firms. What started as a light-hearted concert feature was now a reputational wildfire. And Byron knew that if he didn't act fast, the fire would reach his empire's core. But in trying to stop the spread, he'd soon drag someone else into the spotlight, someone with a history that made the situation even messier. Comment "KissCam never forgets" if you think no one, especially billionaires, can escape a camera's lens in 2025. Hiring Gwyneth Paltrow, a PR move gone wrong. When the KissCam clip exploded online and turned him into a walking meme, Andy Byron did what many billionaires do when reality spins out of control. He turned to strategy. And not just any strategy. A $50 million crisis management campaign designed to reset the narrative, reclaim his image, and make the world forget what it had just seen. His team assembled a playbook with military precision. Full-spectrum PR distribution, scripted op-eds in major outlets, controlled interviews with pre-approved journalists, but at the heart of the plan was a face. A woman who could soften the damage, bring a touch of Hollywood elegance, and blur the scandal into a branding opportunity. Gwyneth Paltrow, Oscar-winning actress, global wellness entrepreneur, and, notably, Chris Martin's ex-wife. The deal was confidential, but insiders say Astronomer brought her on board to star in a futuristic campaign promoting their AI-driven wellness platform. The project had been in development for months, but the timing was no coincidence. Within days of the KissCam fallout, the first video aired, Gwyneth standing in a minimalist studio, surrounded by glowing digital renders, speaking softly about redefining human connection through data. It should have been perfect, a high-concept launch designed to show Astronomer wasn't collapsing, it was innovating. Gwyneth brought credibility, beauty, trust. But what she also brought was baggage no one seemed to anticipate. The public immediately made the connection. The man suing Coldplay was now hiring Chris Martin's ex-wife to defend his brand. The internet didn't need facts. It only needed optics. And the optics looked deliberate, petty, and deeply personal. Within hours, social media reframed the entire campaign, not as redemption, but as revenge. Tweets joked that Byron was fighting memes with Goop, while TikToks imagined a fake Coldplay reunion concert, interrupted by Gwyneth narrating AI ads. The campaign's second video, featuring Gwyneth holding a neural interface device, was reposted with sarcastic captions. "When your CEO kisses HR on camera, so you hire Iron Man's ex to fix it." Instead of silencing the scandal, the campaign amplified it. Page views surged, but not the kind that convert. Investor confidence wavered. Reporters started digging into whether Gwyneth even knew the full extent of the situation before signing on. The campaign's reach was undeniable. Astronomer's homepage traffic jumped 800% in 48 hours, but not for the reasons Byron had hoped. The strategy backfired, spectacularly. And for Andy Byron, this wasn't damage control. It was escalation. A PR play that accidentally reopened the wound and exposed a deeper one waiting just beneath the surface. The billion-dollar throne he risked overnight. At the time of the KissCam incident, Andy Byron wasn't just a CEO, he was the architect of a tech empire that Silicon Valley whispered about, but rarely touched. His startup, Astronomer, had recently closed a $93 million funding round, pushing its valuation to $1.3 billion. Investors from firms like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia had poured in capital with one belief that Byron wasn't just building software, he was building infrastructure for the future of data flow. On paper, he looked untouchable. His house, a $30 million smart estate perched in Los Altos Hills, ran entirely on neural-optimized climate tech. The garage housed a Bugatti Chiron Supersport valued at $3.9 million, next to a limited edition Lucid Air Sapphire tuned for autonomous racing. His art collection included an original Gerhard Richter canvas and a Rothko piece estimated at $12 million, tucked inside a private vault beneath the wine cellar. Byron's weekends were a blur of $12 million Sunseeker yachts, private jet hops to Davos, and invite-only dinners hosted by crypto founders, robotics billionaires, and Saudi investment envoys. His network wasn't just deep, it was surgical. He didn't attend events, he curated them, which made the fallout from that single moment all the more devastating. In a matter of hours, the narrative around him shifted. The headlines weren't about Astronomer's data sorting algorithms or the next AI partnership. They were about scandal, infidelity, and betrayal, served in meme format and wrapped in Coldplay soundtracks. For a traditional celebrity, this would have passed, but in tech, perception isn't just a side effect, it's capital. It determines deal flow, talent retention, and acquisition offers, and Byron's perception was evaporating. Potential $500 million acquisition deal, previously greenlit by an East Coast telecom giant, was suddenly under review. 3 major enterprise clients paused contract negotiations, requesting a few weeks to reassess. And internally, junior engineers were forwarding viral clips through Slack with nervous emojis. The confidence was cracking. Byron's advisors urged silence. His legal team pushed restraint. But behind closed doors, sources say he was livid. Not because he'd been caught, but because the digital world had turned against him faster than his billions could contain. The question now wasn't whether the internet had humiliated him. It was whether that humiliation had devalued everything he'd built. Assets, company, and credibility. All over a kiss that lasted less than 4 seconds. The corporate fallout that burned millions. What began as a PR headache quickly spiraled into a full-blown boardroom crisis. Inside Astronomer's glass-walled headquarters in Palo Alto, the energy shifted from innovation to damage control. Executives weren't discussing product roadmaps. They were reviewing legal exposure, media impact, and one uncomfortable question: could a 4-second kiss cam clip really collapse a billion-dollar company? Within 72 hours of the video going viral, Astronomer's board convened an emergency session, not in person, but through a closed biometric encrypted portal hosted on servers in Liechtenstein, where some of the firm's risk-averse VC backers preferred to keep sensitive data. The mood wasn't outrage, it was fear. The fear wasn't moral, it was economic. Byron's image wasn't just a face, it was the brand. He was on every investor deck, featured in Fortune's top 40 under 40, and had just finished a closed-door strategy call with executives at SAP about a possible 9-figure integration. Now all of that was unraveling. Pressure mounted. Emails leaked, screenshots of internal Slack messages, some mocking, some deeply concerned, found their way into the inboxes of journalists. Employees were shaken. And when it was revealed that Kristin Cabot, Astronomer's HR head and the woman seen in the kiss cam video, had been under review for a potential promotion to COO, things snapped. The board acted. Both Byron and Cabot were asked to resign, not with scandalous headlines, but with surgically worded press releases citing strategic transitions and long-term governance restructuring. But everyone knew the truth. The founders were gone, the center had cracked, and the market reacted instantly. A key Series D investor from Singapore, rumored to have committed an additional $75 million to lead the next round, backed out within hours of the leadership announcement. A pending contract with Siemens, valued at nearly $40 million over 5 years, was suddenly delayed indefinitely. In total, over $300 million in projected value evaporated in less than a week. Not from a faulty product, not from legal fraud, but from a moment of personal exposure that snowballed into a corporate reckoning. And while Andy Byron still held shares, still owned patents, still had cash in his private accounts, the empire he'd built, the sleek branding, the AI-powered legacy, the pitch decks lined with his name, was no longer his. He had tried to control the narrative, but the internet had already rewritten it, permanently, irreversibly, and in real time. And money and power erased public shame. For Andy Byron, the hardest part wasn't the headlines. It wasn't the memes or the resignations. It was the realization that for the first time in his life, money had no control over the outcome. He had the best lawyers, on retainer for years. His crisis PR team had handled everything from leaked emails to a past SEC inquiry. He'd worked with branding agencies that charged $500,000 per narrative reset, crafting stories to protect image, reputation, and valuation. But this was different. This wasn't a regulatory issue or a boardroom coup. This was humiliation. Raw, global, and permanent. Every Google search of his name now surfaced the same thing. A concert, a kiss, a meme. Not articles about his AI breakthroughs, not coverage of his TED Talk in Munich, just footage from a 4-second moment. played over and over under Coldplay lyrics and mocking captions. He tried everything. DMCA takedowns, legal notices, quiet reach-outs to platform moderators. Some videos came down, but thousands more went up. YouTube channels dissected the scandal in 4K Reddit threads, decoded his every facial expression. TikTok creators used his image to joke about tech bros and HR nightmares. And the algorithm didn't care who he was, it cared about engagement. And this was engagement gold. At one point, his team floated the idea of buying out key influencers to help reset the discourse. Byron almost approved a 7-figure influencer deal, but stopped when he realized it would only fuel the fire. He wasn't being forgotten. He was being monetized. And he didn't own the story anymore. The irony wasn't lost on him. For a man who built his fortune on controlling data flows, he had become a data point himself, fed into the very algorithms he once manipulated. In private, Byron told a colleague, "I thought I could drown it in strategy. But this isn't business, it's blood." And he was right, because in today's world, money buys silence, until the internet decides it won't. The lawsuit didn't save him. The PR campaign backfired. The resignation wasn't the reset he'd hoped for. What remained was the one thing even billionaires can't delete: a digital legacy burned into the public record. Comment power isn't protection if you believe there are things no amount of money can erase, especially when the entire world is watching. Andy Byron thought he could bury the internet with lawyers, branding, and influence. But in 2025, even $1 billion can't outmaneuver a meme. From Coldplay concerts to courtroom drama, this wasn't just a fall from grace. It was a masterclass in how power collapses when image shatters. If you want more stories where luxury meets downfall, where the untouchable become unforgettable for the wrong reasons, subscribe to Billionaire Story, because the richest lives often hide the darkest chapters.